Welcome back to the staging area. Special episode with our reigning, defending, and 2018 national champion, Barrett Bryant.
That's me. Yeah.
Yeah. I tried to do the whole Paul Heyman thing. Didn't work very well. So
That's okay.
But we're doing a special episode because we got some time, and we have a big PTC season. I said that correctly for once, and I didn't say it correctly in another video. But we have the season coming up, PTC season's coming up with Worlds and Nats and all that fun stuff. So I asked him, since he is our current newest singles cardboard winner, how do you do it? How do you prep for something this big? PTCs are usually like glorified locals in a way, but you do have some.
Absolutely.
You have like a core of travel players, But
yeah, absolutely. Usually, the biggest thing about going to PTCs is you go to a PTC if either one, you have a big enough crew in your town that you're holding one.
Yep.
Or you are going to travel with your friends in your play group because you're usually in close proximity. Because, like you said, it's just glorified locals. Yeah. And honestly, PTC seasons are actually PTCs are the reason I started playing at all.
Those plane tickets.
Exactly. So the prize pool and the prize support that's offered from PTCs, and we're going to talk about majors as well.
Yeah.
Comparing them side by side is if you win a PTC, people know your name.
Yeah.
People know your deck list. They know that you're a somebody. And then if you win a major, the difference is that because you win that cardboard, you win either the asset action
character
or character card.
Yep.
People can play as you, and you won this 100-person event essentially.
Yeah.
But the PTCs, we can just kind of start there.
Yeah,
the PTCs are great to not only help you start traveling for the game, because if you go to one, you not only get introduced to the veteran players, because they are going to be traveling. Phil Birch goes to almost all of them. And
Kevin Broberg, them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And these are the people that they've won multiple PTCs in their entire lifetime of playing the card game. Or they know that the PTCs are kind of the good meta preparation up until a major.
Sure.
And so the glorified locals, like we're saying. And the only reason I think we say that is because our PTCs aren't exactly large. They're not a lot of people. But there's enough people in them that it will help pay for the prize support, which is you pay your $25 entry fee, and that goes towards this $300 plane voucher that you get to use basically as soon as you win it, honestly. Yeah. Jessica is really quick on the turnaround if you want to use it. Yep. And so what I know is people that want to use their PTC tickets to travel and then go compete for other ones. Keenan Meadows, a very, very veteran UFS player, took his Atlanta PTC win, flew to the Omaha PTC because he has so many friends up here because we all know each other. Yep. Had a great time, and then won the whole thing. Yeah. And so he got his plane ticket back, which he didn't even have to use for nationals because it's in his hometown, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm sure it's his Worlds ticket.
I think it would be. Yeah, I assume so. I know a lot of people look down upon the glorified locals thing, but to touch on what you were saying is we don't have these 300 people regionals like some of the other games have.
Absolutely.
So it's basically, as long as we have a core group of local players, that's usually what gets it started, like you said. And then we have, especially in the Midwest, we have so many groups that can just travel within driving distance. So it's kind of like a term of endearment that it's a kind of like that.
I definitely don't think it's a negative thing. I'm definitely not saying it. I think it's more so that most people's locals don't go past 20 players. Yeah. And so then when you go to a PTC, you're hitting the 32 to 40 people. It's usually a pretty good number. Yeah. We do have outliers that are very small, but it's usually just because it's either followed by a major, and so people want to save their money, or they just went to another one, and it's or two different sides. It's a lot of reasons why they might not get too big. But the Omaha PTC, I think ended up being 36 people or something like that. Rockford almost consistently gets 24-ish.
Oh,
and so
we've been 40-ish the last 3 years.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So we're the same size.
Yeah, we're the same size. Yeah.
And so, when you compare that to majors, which are about 100 people or 120-ish people is what we've been getting to recently, that's a Yu-Gi-Oh regional. It's not even
I understand.
those.
We can dream. We can dream.
Exactly, but because those are the different kind of scales that we're talking about,
Yeah.
I think the only reason we call them glorified locals is because you treat them on a different level than a local, but you don't treat it as if it's a major, because a major has so many different factors that you have to consider. And what that means is, so one of the biggest things that we can start talking about, like for actual prepping, is character choice. And I think compared to a PTC and a major, if you go to a major and there is a big, strong character in the format, you have to anticipate that you are not the only one that's going to play that character. Whereas if you go to a PTC, honestly, you can probably play the strongest character in the game and only have to compete against one, maybe two more people. I was really flabbergasted, honestly, at the last PTC of this season, this last year of 2018, that there was only one Jackie Briggs at the whole thing. And this was after Liu Kang got banned, leading up to this PTC. And the guy who was playing it was someone from Omaha, just so that he could kind of learn the game, and he ended up getting second place because that's how strong the character is. And it just blew my mind that nobody else was deciding to play that character. I was over here telling him, I was like, you're probably gonna have to play against one other Jackie Briggs at least. And nope, there wasn't another one.
I also want to say, I think in Reno there was only maybe a second one too, and that's just crazy because really people were considering her the best character behind the two band characters.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Or even just one of those things like coming off of nationals, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but dude, please, so I won playing Cassie Cage, and I think people understood that you can play Cassie Cage. I mean, Phil Birch went to that PTC and played Cassie Cage in a really cool dual symbol tech kind of deck, and you can play her any kind of way like that. And it just kind of blew my mind that, again, there was only one Cassie Cage at that event, and it was Phil Birch. And then at the Reno PTC, I believe, again, there was only one Cassie Cage. And they even underperformed. They didn't even do that well. But it was one of the things where you could easily play that character, or just because of the strength of it, and probably still make top 8 with that character. And it's just one of those things that I don't think people really consider. But for PTCs, you don't have to worry about that diversity thing so much. And so you can really just man, I really want to play Vega, but I know Vega's a really, really strong character for the evil symbol. So I'll just play a not as strong character, like Vicious. Vicious got second place of nationals on the radar, you know, it's a strong character. And then you show up playing Vicious and you're like, well, wait, where's all the Vega players?
At?
Nobody's playing Vega, and so you should have just played Vega kind of thing.
I agree with that you shouldn't really worry about it for a PTC level, because usually if you're in a play group, you guys actually try to plan out who's playing what, so you're not fighting for diversity. Usually you have to worry about the people coming into town who may be playing your character.
Right. And something to look forward to this upcoming season, I think it's something that I think a lot of people have kind of vocalized, is we've hit this era of UFS where Cowboy Bebop and onward characters are almost all good enough to play at a PTC level. I think everybody can almost agree with that, with the exception of a few. And so now we have Street Fighter versus Darkstalkers, and by the time this PT season starts, there's another set that's supposed to release at the beginning of February. And so if they're at the same level, which I believe everybody is still anticipating because their design philosophy is not going to change from that short notice. And so we're going to have 4 sets worth of characters that are all going to be able to compete at a PTC level. Whether that means that we're going to have a bunch of big baddies of the format, and so maybe only people are going to focus on those big baddies and how to tech against them. But we haven't even hit a PTC season yet where people are playing Akuma 2 dot, or Jetta 2 dot, or Ken 2 dot. These characters, they haven't actually even had this chance to really fulfill and fit into this. We had one. We had the Reno PTC that took place, and they were legal. And nobody even wanted to experiment with them. There was one Akuma 2 dot in the whole thing, and it was that was the big baddie. And that might be also because of a barrier, because people I have to have admission fees, or I can't play the deck, or and that's why my mentality on why maybe people aren't playing Cassie Cage as much is because there's this barrier of I need 4 nutcrackers.
I mean, 4 nutcrackers,
right, and nobody wants to spend $25 for that card. So I think that might also be partially the barrier, but I think with this next set coming out in February and the PTC starting, we're going to see a lot more of these characters are so strong, and there should be no reason for you to be afraid of diversity because there's so many that are so strong.
And I think that was the issue at the to kind of hark back about last year. It was the beginning of last year was we had Bebop, which was one set underneath this new philosophy. So that's why you had so many diversity battles. But as the sets came out, like with Mortal Kombat, that kind of lightened up a bit because we had like the Liu Kang and the Jackie Briggs and the Viciouses and all like the top tier characters perchance from those sets kind of fight it out at Nats, But I agree with you totally. With this last set that came out and now the next set coming out, we should be okay. There should be over there should be over 30 to 40 characters. My math's kind of pseudo, right?
Right. Well, that also just makes it too like a good segue into it is like that means when we come to these majors, like I think it's going to be the same story. Like we saw like quite a few anomalies, I would say, at this last year's nationals, just because we had things like Napalm Man make it in, and like people didn't think five-handers were good enough at all unless you were Jackie Briggs. And so like that kind of blew people away. Heidi, No Attack Heidi still making it in.
That was weird.
These things are just like, man, I don't think anybody had these like even like on their draft picks or whatever. I'm just like, man, this character is going to make top 16.
JJ made it with Metal Man.
Yeah, JJ was playing Metal Man, and it was essentially just Cassie Cage under all, but just doing the slam thing that he's really good at. And so like these characters that nobody really anticipated because Mortal Kombat, Bebop characters were just so this higher caliber. And so I think like it's just not going to happen anymore. I think as we move forward for majors, I think only these top tier echelon characters are going to be the ones that make it. I think we're not going to see people even try to play Endine's characters anymore. And I think we're even going to hit this point where nobody's going to even want to play platinum characters anymore. And like they're that level right below Bebop. They're like, they had a little bit more. Like they're like to me like the ones that come to mind are like Plant Man. Plant Man's like that. Like you can almost feel it.
Yeah, you can almost feel it. Yeah,
but it's like but Vegas is better under Evil. And so it's or like right now Shadow Man because of the new Lore Raptor support. Like I think he's gonna be there, and like I think you'll see him like in PTCs. But man,
you won't. You might as well just play Raptor. You might as well.
I think you're just gonna see Lord Raptor, and honestly, I think even you're just gonna see like Lord Raptor 1 die because people are just gonna play the 7-hander. Or you're gonna play a character like Vega and do the Andrew Alexa and just play flashes. Like you're just gonna do stuff like that, and Vega's again like that kind of anomaly of like you'll still see Vega.
Because he's just ridiculous. He was really a post Bebop character printed back in the old days.
But it was so interesting too. It was so interesting too because like he still didn't even win nationals for Street Fighter era.
For sure. Yeah, that was nationals was
because some Mega Man 2 scrub.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, Mega Man 2 scrub got in the way, and damn him.
But like that part actually kind of makes me sad too. Like I don't think I'm ever gonna be able to play Mega Man 2 competitively.
I would say PTC maybe because I think that just because of how things go, but. Now, I don't think you can take him to Worlds or National. Maybe teams. He may be a good teams deck, but that's tough.
It's just like I'm playing Donovan right now, and it's just like
I'm pretty sure he's way better.
The way that you can kill people with Mega Man by just having a ton of keywords on your attacks, like you can just do it in him, and then he can actually just play a control game because you can cycle through your whole deck and see all your pieces. Because you just have to play like this defensive game. So he has like this duality, whereas like Mega Man's like. I got one way to play, and it's like I either slam my attacks on my turn and stun you, or I slam my attacks on your turn and try and kill you, or I use them to breaker. I'm learning like as a better player too. Like Mega Man 2 is this character where it's like I want to reversal people, but I also want to block with my attacks for breakers. Like for breakers sometimes, and I'm like I'm losing so many attacks just blocking. And so I'm like, Donovan's a way better reversal character. Like I'm learning like right away. Like it's just like, but like I mean, like, you're right. I built a Mega Man 2 deck after Street Fighter vs. Darkstalkers came out under Good, and I think it's his only playable symbol. That's not true. Void's pretty good. I played Void before the set came out. But like under Good, you just get like there's like Morrigan and Lilith. Specifically, Morrigan has a ton of keywords on her cards. And so like you get that free damage, and so like. You just play I play a deck that like specs on like giving speed, and you're like, let's do something that this character is not supposed to do.
Yeah.
But like do it, and then we can use all the Morgan's cards, and then we get all this good keyword stuff.
Okay, so that leads me into my next question then.
Sure.
When you're building, like when you've chosen your character and you're going in to build your deck, how do you look back at like the PTCs prior to the event? Before,
I think you should. I
but
think
like to check out the meta, because like,
definitely.
I need these cards for this, maybe this matchup or whatever. Talk about your thought process about that.
Yeah, I think you definitely have to do that. I think more so now than ever, because I think people are really kind of noticing it. So like, let's take a look at like the beginning of PTC season with Mortal Kombat.
Mm-hmm.
Rob taking an Accurus, like a Fatality Mill to a PTC, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this deck was on everybody's radar. Yeah. Everybody talked about it, and then it never got played again in a PTC because people, I think, were teching against it, and they were so afraid of it, and nobody wanted to play that deck.
And then until Kevin brought it to Reno.
Until the end of that PTC season.
The end of it.
Where Kevin Brober is like, why is nobody playing this deck? Let's just go play this deck because Liu Kang's banned.
Yeah.
And the deck wins again.
Yeah.
Against these Street Fighter versus Darkstalkers characters. I think it was also a really kind of like last hurrah thing because it's his last PTC before he rotates.
Yeah.
But like, you definitely have to go back and pay attention, because if your deck can't prep or play against this kind of deck, it's obviously good enough to win the whole thing, which means even if you dodge it during rounds or you play against it in rounds and that's your only loss, you got to be able to beat it in top, so you're not going to win the whole thing.
Yeah, you can't just hope to dodge it in tops.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think I kind of noticed that, like when I saw the Reno top 8 list, I was like, man, there's only like one deck that does really well against this Inaccurus, the Mill thing. Yeah. And Kevin Broberg beat that bad matchup. Yeah. And so it was either the person playing that deck didn't have the good read on it, or they just didn't have enough practice against that deck. And I think that was one of the biggest ones too. And I think Rob really kind of said that too about it, is that not enough people are playing against that deck, because again, this kind of like gated card of like, you need 4 fatalities to play this deck. Yeah. And like the veteran players are obviously going to have them. And if you're showing up wanting to play like the big baddie, like Akuma 2-Dot maybe of the format, and you just don't know enough about this matchup and this practice, you can just make 1 or 2 misplays where this veteran player is just going to beat you with the latest character in standard. You constantly have to do your research. It's weird because like when a new set comes out, you don't have any research to go off of. You don't even really have deck lists, like maybe Premier Store events, but like people are building those decks for their locals, not necessarily for
PTC or Worlds. Yeah.
Playing against Kevin Broberg coming out of town. Like they're not building that deck. They're building a deck to play against how the people around them play.
Now I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I was thinking, so like part of the doing the research, and I think what really helps people is, yes, looking at PTCs is very good, but you can keep going further back. This game doesn't move very quickly, and it's like rotation wise, and so that's gonna change, I guess, this coming year. Yeah, but like. So, like, maybe don't look at an Accurus Mill anymore because the deck rotates, but you definitely should be aware that this deck exists, because I guarantee you some other character is going to figure out a way to do it as well.
Yep, there's already people talking about certain characters already about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, we were already building an Accurus Mill, we were already building Fatality Mill, the deck Fatality Mill, underwater, and you can do it under many characters. We did it under Liu Kang because he fishes for fatalities, and then he got banned, so, like... Yeah. Like, we scrapped that deck, but that was the deck we were actually going to bring for teams at Nationals, because we thought we needed an Inaccurus Mill deck kind of style deck. And we showed up at Nationals, just had a regular Liu Kang deck under Death. Yeah. Or no, it was underwater.
It was underwater.
Yeah, but we didn't do the milling strategy because we just learned the other deck was just better. Yeah. But we showed up, and we played against 3 Fatality Mill decks. 2 of which were Inaccurus. One of them was Johnny Cage, and that deck did it. That deck did it pretty well.
Oh wow, that's weird.
And it wasn't that we were losing to it, but we kept drawing. Yeah, and we're like, draws are not how you make it into tops. Yeah,
I think that's as a segue to just a side note. I think that's the reason why Inaccurus does it so well, is because he can ready his surveyors, he can ready certain things that he needs to do, so he's able to progress it faster. We talk about it in our 2018 review thing about that, about how he just getting fatality. Here he was the best mill deck, but it was like a 40 minute game 1, so you really had to win it. But fatality put it in half. Like it's
It was more so in water instead of getting the momentum looping strategies, which you still get. So the cool thing we were doing in Liu Kang was that you can get Shi and Kyaku.
Oh yeah, and you can
use to like get this fatality that I used earlier. Yeah. But you also get things like fulfilled for battle.
Yeah.
So that when you're blocking with them, normally in any other Anakers deck, you block, you lose it.
Yeah.
But so with fulfill for battle, you get to block with it and like, I'm going to get it back on my turn. And then you could do cheeky things like Felicity House.
Yeah.
Like, this one we attacked with is in our momentum. Well, now defensively we use the same one and we get a double. It's all about maximizing the use on the one fatality.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so that's what the deck did. Anyway, but you can do that under almost any water character. And until Felicity House rotates, I think the deck is fine. Or fulfill for battle, which was rotating soon. Yeah. But like until that happens, you can still do this kind of mentality, but we still have to pay attention to everything that comes out afterwards. And so this deck will still exist as long as fatality exists in the meta. And I guess maybe the Fairman card.
Oh yeah, Fear of Women.
Yeah, but like there's other cards that like help you mill as well. Things.
So just keep us on track. So we've got our character. We did our research.
Yes.
Now we get the cards. So now I'm not gonna spend too long on the cards part because you can always borrow cards from the community. Always ask if you can't get them. People can always bring cards. We're really good about loaning stuff out. So now we're putting this deck into practice.
Yeah, this is the hardest part.
It's the hardest part. So we say we have like a 75 pile of cards. We need to make cuts. Now, how are we making these cuts? What is your criteria for making cuts on a card? It's just say like a generalized like mid-range control deck or whatever.
So something that we always try to do in our play group is during this process of doing your research and part of this research is part of your deck building process. You're learning what characters do I need to know and have cards to play around their character or to play around their gimmick.
Sure.
So we need to include those kind of tech answers. But at the same time, when you're working on your deck, you need to also you should actually like proxy up and build these competitive decks that people are playing with. Yeah. Honestly, that's the best way to do it.
That's the best way to do it.
Playtesting wise, it's so hard for one of two reasons. One, either your play group is not very large, and the diversity of people that are in your play group they spend a lot of money on the game, or they don't. And so they have like one deck, and that one deck isn't going to really help you prep for this PTC or this major because they're not playing some meta garbage.
Yeah.
Not garbage, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's not meta. Yeah.
I'm not trying to sell you a game.
No, it's all right. Don't worry about it.
So what you need to do is you need to find either your like best friend that you play UFS with, or just it can be one other person, somebody you trust in their playing ability, and be like, hey, I don't own all these cards, and we're not playing a local because locals you shouldn't be. You should play test and play a local as if you're going to play competitively. Yes, but hardcore practicing and drilling happens on your free time in like a stress-free environment. Yes. And so you'd be like, hey, you got like a day, got like a Saturday, maybe the weekend before or something like that, being like, hey, I proxied up all these decks. Can you help play test against me? I'm going to play my deck over and over again. And I want you to play this meta deck, and we can swap between things.
Yeah.
And then when you find like the one or two decks that are like destroying you, you're like, why do I feel so helpless? You'll know, like, you'll have this feeling of like, why do I feel so helpless against this deck?
Yep.
Because the meta decks are going to make you feel that way.
Yes.
For some reason. Anakers Mill is very good at doing it. Liu Kang is very quickly. He's going to make you feel that way for the time. Like, I know he's banned. But
Quan Chi was the same way.
Akuma 2-dot, you're going to feel like, you're like, why can't I play my cards?
Yeah, exactly.
Evil insert character here with Princess Parries and Fades and stuff like that. Yeah, like, you're going to be like, where along these matchups am I feeling the struggle and I'm feeling so helpless?
Sure.
And then you need to look at your deck and be like, this card is helping me. This card is not.
Yes.
And then you play like this duality of like, well, this card helps me in some of my matchups, but it doesn't help me in all of them. Sideboard card.
Yes.
It's like that's that mentality of like, that's a sideboard card.
Yeah.
Or like, this card is so good right now because characters are so strong. Stop needs to be in the main board.
Yeah.
Bang needs to be in the main board. It's like, those are where you're feeling, man, I'm just losing to like Coffee Samba enhances.
Yeah.
Like this card is just murdering me.
Yeah.
Then you need to be mainboarding those revokes.
Yes.
You need to be mainboarding the securing his destinies. Those are the cards that you're like, those are the ones. And like that, and that changes depending on what you're playing against and depending on what your deck has to offer and doesn't have.
Yep.
If I'm playing Bebop format and I'm playing Twinkle Murdoch, I don't necessarily need all these revokes or things like that. My character does it.
Yeah.
Use my hands. Like and that's an old reference, but it's just like now it's one of those things to where like Windmill Punch, Fatality, Explosion is a deck that people know exists now underwater. It's like one of the only playable decks underwater right now. And so it's like, oh, well, I'm just dying to multiple copies.
Yep.
Okay, well, guess what? You probably need Keyword Hate or you need Momentum Hate, which nobody's playing. And so like you learn, do I need to sideboard these cards or do I need to completely make a whole shift on like, is maybe the character I'm playing good enough, or maybe the symbol I'm playing isn't, and I need to swap symbols. And then you still get to play your deck, essentially.
Yes.
You just maybe have to play a different engine. But that has different answers. So like it's I remember seeing posts on Facebook about like some like new guy in the game wanting to play Jet, and so he asked like a comparison of all three of his symbols. And I believe Cody Kent actually gave him like a pretty good analysis on like what each one of them do. And honestly, like that's just the duality of the game. One symbol for a character is going to be stronger at a different point when another symbol is. Like right now, Jet Under Fire is actually really garbage. And what was it? I think Cody also mentioned that like Jet Under Earth is garbage. And I felt very offended because I played Jet Under Earth for Worlds and got third place. So I was like, but it's a whole different time. Like it's a different. And I was off symboling Punch and Judy, so like my attack lineups all had to have fire on them. And so like it's just whenever the shift in the game happens, like it's just one of those things. There was a period during Bebop format where Vicious's best symbol was like Earth. And now it's definitely evil. So like
definitely evil.
And so then your deck, whatever you're playing, you need to have answers to be like, man, this evil symbol is a monster right now. I have to have answers to either what evil cards do or what this symbol does. And so then you look at a character like, maybe that's why my Akuma matchup is so bad, because I'm not playing. I'm thinking so much about what Akuma is doing, but if you just played cards that help you against the evil symbol, you might have a really good time. It's one of those things where, like, if your deck is actually losing to the evil symbol, things like Sealer of Evil, the rating card, are totally playable. It's just one of those things.
I know that when testing against decks like that, you definitely want to kind of keep track. Like you may want to write some notes down as you're play testing against someone else, just so you can keep track, because you may crank in like 10 matches and you're not going to remember everything.
Correct.
You'll remember like the bad beats and the big wins, but like the minuscule tiny plays, like maybe I shouldn't have committed that card for the block, or I should have committed. Like you got to keep track of stuff. So write it down, and any information that you write down will help you become a better player.
Yeah, I think a really good note too, and this is for prepping in general, just using any decks that you're prepping with, and you play any game against like a not local environment. Sorry for the background. It's if you play a game and you like open your opening hand and it's all attacks and you throw them away, and then you what is going on?
What? You're good. You're fine.
But like, I mean, I hear him, so I don't know.
Oh, it's
so
all
like,
right.
you open your opening hand, all attacks, you throw it away, draw all new attacks, restart the game. You're not gonna learn. You're not gonna learn anything in that game, except for the fact that we might need to mess with some ratios or shuffle better. It's usually shuffle better.
Shuffle better.
And so it's like restart that game. You're not gonna learn anything from that game. Or if you open a game and you're playing one checks or you're playing two checks, and you're all like, okay, depending on how my deck is, I need to play this 2 diff right here, and then not check a 1, and then play my 1 diffs and my zeros or whatever. And then like you check the 1, and you're like, oh, okay, whatever, like that happens. And then you go to your next turn and you check another one immediately. Start the game over. Just you're gonna lose. Start it over. You're not gonna learn anything.
There's no point. Just go to game 2 or start it all over. It doesn't matter.
And if you want to treat it like going to game 2, like that's one of those things to where it's like for like a player like me, if I have bad checks in my deck, I sometimes like to have options to side in that aren't bad checks. And you're like, in this matchup, I'm not allowed to do that. So like, you take them out, you shove them in. Like that is play testing. Don't beat your head against the wall when you know your deck is good, but sometimes something happens. It's for like the same reason like JJ went to that the PTC. Where was it again? I don't
Collinsville.
Collinsville.
Yeah.
Collinsville. That's right.
Collinsville
PTC, and he's playing a ton of one checks in his deck.
Mm-hmm.
And play testing wise, he can check them and still play.
Yeah.
The deck is good.
Yeah.
And then in tops, he checks every single one of them.
Yes, he does.
And that's the game you lose.
Yeah,
there you
that
go.
happens. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You ran hot all day, and now you're gonna lose. So like, and that is the game.
Yes.
And if you don't want to take that risk, then you're not going to play that deck.
Okay.
So you can't, when you are playing a deck like that, beat your head against the wall and be like, is everything I'm doing wrong? Do I need a whole new deck? No. Slow down. Take a break.
Yeah.
Like, it's really about learning matchups, in my opinion.
Sure.
You should learn your deck, and you're going to learn your deck from building it,
from looking at it, sorting it, all that stuff.
Exactly. Like you're gonna be like, man, I thought I had 4. You're never gonna say that. Like you're gonna be like, oh, I know I have 4 of these in my deck because this card's nuts. Or whatever your mentality of the card is. You're never gonna forget that stuff. What you are gonna forget is, oh, I've only played against an Accurus Mill once.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how that game went.
Exactly.
I lost, and I need to remember why I lost. And you're gonna forget it. You need to drill that matchup. You need to figure out why you're losing those things. And then that's where the cutting cards out of your deck, putting specific ones into the sideboard, that happens from event to event to event.
Yeah. It happens to me week to week to week sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It can even happen in locals. Like if you're and that's what I was talking about, like Premier Store decks that win aren't exactly your idea of like what a PTC deck should look like, because they've been prepping that deck for all month leading up to this PTC, this Premier Store event.
The Premier Store event.
Yes, because they want to win this match.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Okay, so we got our character, we have our deck, we've done the prepping, we're now going to the PTC. One of my pet peeves, it was I think in 2017, because I blasted this all over the internet, get your deck list correct. You want to be able to write, you want to give yourself enough time in the morning to get that deck list written. You can write it the night before. You can just make sure you have enough time to do all your little things in the morning before the event starts.
See, I'm real bad at that.
Are you now?
That's your dad.
That's my old.
Get up in the morning. That's your dad mentality.
It is because
I don't have that mentality.
I always have my deck list written the night before, and if I really need to make a change, I can always just make a change. And and then what I do is I'll hand it to somebody. I'm like, here you go. I'll go like, Trip Pants, take this. Trent, take this. I'll throw it at Slam's face. Check my list, man. I did it at Teams. I gave it to Tim and Slam. I'm like, you guys double check it. I know it's right, but double check it, triple check it, because you can get disqualified, and you don't want that. You don't want to top and then get disqualified, because that sucks.
And I think aside from the first PTC of the season this last year, I think that was the only time I saw like actual DQs. I don't know what it was for. I don't know if it was my deck list, but so I think the whole year we didn't have any problems.
We didn't talk about it very much, because usually if we talk about it, if it happens, we talk about it on the Gal treatment, because we always make fun of those people, because come on, man, it's the easiest thing ever.
Yeah, but like I totally agree. Like and like I guess if you've been playing competitive card games for a long time, you know that's a big deal in every game.
Yes.
It's a big deal when I play like my shorts and travel for those kind of events. Like it's a really big deal. And I know that Jasco has made a point that they're making it a bigger deal, because in the past it wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you have your approach. My approach is wake up in the morning, eat your breakfast if you're into that. I don't eat breakfast because it makes me sick. But show up to give yourself enough time, obviously. Yeah. So like for me, it's show up 30 minutes before the deck list is due.
Sure.
But if that means you want to sleep in for the rest of the time, or if you want to get up an hour early and work out, or eat your breakfast or take a shower, like do all that stuff.
Oh, please shower, please.
Oh, I mean, obviously,
please shower.
It's like I wake up better when I shower in the morning. So like I wake up, I'll give myself some time, sleep in, but like I love to sleep, so I'll sleep in.
I get it.
Sleep in as much as I can, take a shower, show up, hair wet, 30 minutes before deck turn in. Be like, everybody leave me alone.
Yep.
I'm gonna write my deck list, and then I'm gonna hand it to a good buddy of mine, like my friend JJ. Like, hey man, check yours. I'll check yours if you check mine.
Yep.
And normally I always catch a few mistakes. People make mistakes. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But because you have somebody check it, you'll get there. And then once you turn it in, people say take a picture of it too.
Yeah.
I'm really bad about that, but
I am too.
No one's gonna sabotage you.
Yeah.
But some people take a picture of it. You turn it in, and then the next part of this process is actually playing the event. And whether it's a PTC or a major, I really don't think your mentality should change too much.
Yeah.
Every game is individual. No game is reliant or affecting the rest of them. And
there's no such thing as momentum, is what you're trying
correct.
to say. Yeah.
There is, however, such thing as tilting yourself.
Yes, there is. There is.
So I actually almost tilted myself at this last Nationals because I think it was round 5. No, it was round 4. I was undefeated. No, man. No, there was, I'm trying to remember. There was 7 rounds.
Yeah. It was somewhere in there, right?
I was 3-0, which is good at that point because it means I'm playing against the other people. Sitting at table 2, and I'm winning this game. Like I'm actually just winning. Like the game is over.
Oh, was this the game against Ryan Fields?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm like, Cassie for stats because it's already for lethal. I'm gonna pick speed, and I fucked up, and it was not for lethal, and I not only threw that attack and didn't kill him. I was like, oh, it's okay. I'll just live this next turn. I then misplayed on the defensive turn and died, which means it wasn't a draw. It was a loss.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is where it all ends. Next round, play against Keenan Meadows, get immediately 2-0'd. I was like, oh my gosh, it's all ending. My chance is all over. Because I'm also fighting diversity at this point.
Yes.
I was like, oh, now I'm tied with my diversity battle instead of being 2 wins above.
2 wins above, yeah.
And I was like, this is the worst. and then I won my last round.
Yeah.
Won the diversity battle. I was like, okay. And then after that, I was like, all right, no more tilting. I can't make those mistakes anymore. Yeah. So that was all of finals day. It was like,
definitely.
But you will definitely tilt yourself if you have any sort of nervousness or being like, okay, that mistake I made, you can't even think about it too much. You cannot be like, man, I'm not allowed to make that mistake again, or you'll make a different
you'll make another mistake that's different. Exactly. Yeah.
And so you have to treat every game as an individual one, and even during a match, every game is an individual one.
Yes.
If you go first game 1 and you lose, which is a really big hit, because you should be winning usually if you go first. Like that game is still individual. You can win going second on game 3 because you wouldn't be playing your deck if you didn't believe you could anyway.
Correct.
And so like if you treat every game that way, and honestly that game 3 going second, you should probably still feel good about it because that's what your sideboard is for as well. Every game you should learn something.
Yep.
Whether man, I was too aggressive, I was too defensive. I decked out because I thought I could kill them faster, but I didn't, and then he just stalled me out.
Yeah.
I thought I had enough answers for the symbol. Like, it happened. Move on.
Yep.
You might not play against that deck again.
Sure.
You really might not.
Yeah.
I played against 0 Liu Kangs at Nationals.
That's
0.
just nuts. He was everywhere.
It is nuts. I played against 0 Liu Kangs. Oh, that's not true. Round 1 I did.
Okay.
I played against my teammate, Mike Brown.
Okay.
Sorry. Playing our deck from teams.
Yeah.
So, like played against one, it was round 1, and then I never played against another one. It's like, that's incredibly lucky. Like, I got really lucky and I dodged them all. I know a bunch of people that did as well too, but every game is different. I was more so worried when I was having to play against all the Jackie Briggs that I had to play against. And some people dodged Jackie Briggs but ran into all the Liu Kangs. Every game is individual, and you can't think for a moment that you play against one Jackie Briggs deck and be like, oh, I know how to play against Jackie Briggs. And the deck's completely different. Every game is individual, and you can't let one be the reason why you get tilted. And I think that's just the easiest way why you get tilted.
Yeah.
Because you think it's something that you did wrong, and it's really not.
Yeah.
If you did all this prep that we're talking about leading up to this event, that's not going to be the reason why you lose.
Sure.
The reason why you lose is because it's in the moment. You make a bad decision. You make the wrong decision. It's not even like a bad one, but you just make the wrong one.
This leads me into a really good piece of advice that Tim Keefe gave me at this last Nationals at Teams. He told me to slow down.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You have an hour to play 3 games. Our meta isn't the longest now. It's a good half an hour to play. You could probably play a good set in a half an hour, 3 games, whatever.
Yeah.
I've had games that go less than 10 sometimes. It just happens. But on average, you're going to get, a good 30 to 40 minute match. And you have that extra half hour to 20 minutes to make your decision in a way. You don't take the whole time, but you know what I'm saying. You have time to do your processes, make sure you checked I hit this enhance, I hit this, I hit this, I did this, and there's no point to speed play. There's just no point. It's like,
yeah, absolutely.
That's how you get mistakes, and that's how you get tilted. Is because
I think one of the other things too about it right now is like when you become a better player, and you become more experienced. But honestly, at the same time, if you just become more comfortable with your deck,
yes,
you're gonna learn the periods of the game, or even during the match, of like, hey, I won game 1. I can take a step back. I'm allowed to play defensively or play this game differently because I'm up a game.
Yes.
And even within the game, you're like, man, I just had this incredibly good poke turn. I have great defensive pieces in my hand. I even have the ability to get rid of these when I don't want them to go and attack them again, depending on what they do. Like, you can tell when your deck is like, I'm in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, that's a good feeling. That's a really good feeling.
And that's one of those times to where, like, you get to take your time right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so then at like or vice versa, I get to put some pressure. I get to put some pressure on my opponent and be like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I get to do these things. So like this ebb and flow kind of thing of game to game, match to match. If you get really good at like pacing yourself during that, I think it's just really easy, and you look more confident, you feel more confident, and that just not only puts more pressure on your opponent.
Yep. And
is it like, I mean, that's a strategy if you want to tilt your opponent into winning.
Yep. Phil Birch.
Shout-outs. Or like, exactly. Yeah. Or like, you think you have a really good read on your opponent. Yeah. Like, you're not going to be able to read everybody. I can't read Kevin Broberg to save my life.
Yeah. I can't either.
But like, I'm getting a little better at reading J-Rage, maybe just because I like him so much.
Yeah.
So like,
true.
But like, it's one of those things. And so like, I knew at certain points when I was playing my match against him in top 4, I was like, holy crap, I'm just going to win this. Like, I'm like, I feel so comfortable where I'm at in the game state. I lost game 2 and I was like, I was supposed to lose that game. I'm going to game 3. It was just like everything felt like it was falling into the right places.
Sure.
And then like my finals match, everything was going to shit. So like, but you being able to know when you're comfortable and when you're not, hey, now you need to focus up, or now you get to kind of relax. You get to play safe. You get to do it. And there are some matchups where playing safe will give you the win. Yeah. And there are some players in certain matchups where you're not allowed to play safe, and you got to take the risks. Yep. And it's about just being comfortable and getting into your deck flow. And so you're right. I think taking your time is a big part of it. And you'll know when you're allowed to take time. Exactly. Not just because of the clock, but just because of the way the game's going.
So so we're at the event. I want to say meet people. If it's your first time and you say you recognize someone from, say, online content, or you've seen their character card or whatever, go up to them, say something to them, be like, hey, I've seen you before. You may not know me, but I'm this person, and shake their hand and just be polite. If they're playing a game, wait. If they're talking to someone else, just wait. And most people in the community will talk. Most, I should say. The majority of the community will talk to you. They're not going to say, hey, man, we don't know you. We're a pretty loving group, I should say.
Yeah, we're very open.
Yes.
Like to people that are new to the event. And I'd say we as if I'm like part of this crew, but like I mean, I've only been playing this game for a year.
No, man, you've hit that mountaintop, so
I guess you're right. I peaked.
You peaked. I don't know what it was that you peaked, but okay.
But I went to my first event in Rockford. I went to this lame, whatever it's called. I don't even know what it's called.
Legendary Wolf Money in the Bank? Yeah, I remember that. It was an MCS event.
Yes. MCS, that's what it was. Yeah, I went to this MCS event, which isn't even standard. It's like this whole different show, whatever.
Yeah.
I just went because I traveled and it was cheap and it was nearby, and I was like, let's get to know some people. And I met all the Rockford crew, and then like Phil Birch was there, and like I met these people. I just got to meet these people, and so I was like, oh, and it helped that I was with my own play group, and if they've already traveled a lot, then like Mason was just introducing me to everybody.
Oh yeah.
And then like you show up. I didn't do great at that event because I misplayed against JJ, and so he got to top and I didn't.
Didn't you lose your deck too? You left your deck at the restaurant, right?
I did leave my deck at the restaurant. Yeah, I remember that. I did go back and get it though.
Yeah, the guy called us and like, hey, you gotta commit this deck. I'm like, sweet.
Yeah. I was like, you're right. I need that because it's got 4 prepare to fights in it. And they were mine. Like I owned them.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was just like you got to meet all those people, and so then when I saw them again at something else,
I think it was Nationals was the next time.
I mean, I think I saw them at Nationals. I knew those people, and so I was like, oh my, hey, good to see you again. Yeah. And then I got to meet everybody else.
Oh, gosh,
and so then after meeting everybody else at Nationals, I went to like the Las Vegas PTC before Worlds that year, and like I knew all these people, and like like it was just like that fast.
Yeah.
And people already remember, especially if you're good at the game. So like people already know your name.
Yeah,
but
it's true. Yeah. Or if you're just if you have an online show, people know you too.
I wish I would have the privilege at like a major where like I didn't top anything, and so on that last day I just get to like
hang out,
people and have fun. But I've never been able to do that.
Hey man, I wish the opposite. I've only topped once singles wise, so one of these days I will get to play on Sunday. I promise you. So we're at the event. A couple tips I like to give: stay hydrated, drink tons of water, bring your own water bottle. I know it's the dad thing. It's the dad thing.
That, so.
I try to stay hydrated. I usually bring like snack bars or whatever, because if you're at a convention, food is absolutely expensive most of the time. But most of the time, if you're at a PTC, we usually get a lunch break, and usually there are restaurants around that you're able to get within the hour time limit or whatever. So you just want to make sure you take care of yourself while you're out and about and in public, because we're not at your house in the basement.
That's true.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, that's some quick hits from Dad, I guess. That's the dad in me. Because I don't want to see anyone, because that sucks, man. If you see someone power their way through day one and they get to, and they get to day two, let's say we're at Worlds and we have, and we power through like 8-9 rounds, and you're not as fresh as you were, as long as you stay hydrated, you may be able to fight against the fatigue. So, and it's proven. Yeah. I think there's science behind it, actually, that water helps you stay less fatigued. So
there's a lot of stuff too. Like we touched on it briefly. Have good hygiene. Like we're all card players, and you might the people that we're kind of talking about. Like there are people at your local card store that maybe play a different game, and you associate them as a bad person because part of it is that they have bad hygiene. So have good hygiene. The rest of us have great hygiene. So you better fit in.
Fit in, please do. Yeah, I think I just think that's just part of the community. It's just that we all love each other, and we all we'll tell each other, man, you guys stink. Go take a shower, and we don't mean it as a derogatory sense. We want you to take personal pride in your appearance. So
yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's other stuff too. Like you're right, stay hydrated. I'm really bad at it when I travel, so like whatever. Yeah. But like don't starve yourself. Get a lot of sleep.
Like that's a big one.
You want to hang out with all your friends that you don't see very often when you go to these events. But man, like if you got to play tops the next day, please go sleep, or you're going to be really upset at yourself for not doing well because you didn't get enough sleep. Mm-hmm. So like, I mean, my crew is very good about that. Like if we're playing in tops the next day, like we'll go out and still like have dinner with people, but like, no, we're not staying up and drinking afterwards. Like we're gonna go back and go to sleep. And we're normally always topping, so we don't normally get to do the late night.
Man, such a heavy price to pay on the pedestal. So it's what a heavy price to pay to be on that top pedestal. But all right, so I think we've pretty much covered the basics. I think for the most part, again, it's gonna depend on what deck you're playing, what symbol you're playing, what your meta's like, what cards are out, stuff like that. Oh, also, always check the band and errata list. Always check that stuff. Check your rules. Make sure you're up to date on your rules. This is probably, we should have touched on this in the beginning of the show, but we're touching on it now because it's pretty important. Make sure you know what the rules are, and make sure if you have a question about the rules, you contact someone who does. You can call Jason on the back of the pack, but I'd probably just get a hold of Ryan Pham on the internet. There's a bunch of different options that you can get a hold of. People, Kevin Broberg, Tim Keefe. You can ask me. I'll probably just ask someone else to get the answer, and then I'll tell you. But like even ask Barrett. Barrett's pretty knowledgeable about the game. He has cardboard. I guess he knows something about the game. But
I'm gonna play one symbol. No, part of that too is actually don't be afraid during any part of the process that we've kind of talked about. If you're struggling or like even like just the deck building part or finding that character, you can talk to people about it. You can ask people. Be like, what do you think about this character? What do you think of this build that I have? What do you think of this specific card for this specific matchup? You can ask anybody. You can ask Chris. You can ask me. You can ask Rob. You can ask all these people we just listed. Even like people like Jason or Ryan Pham. Like, I mean, obviously they're going to say good things because it's their card games, but like they are going to be honest with you on like competitiveness. Shane, who's just recently left Jasco, he'll be super honest with you on whether or not he thinks the card's very good, and he has very different opinions than a lot of people. But he's normally ended up being right like a few months later when people show these cards and I'm like, oh yeah, they are really good.
Yeah, they are very good. Yeah, very true. Okay, so I know we're running out of time because I know you got plans. So we're gonna cut the episode now. So I want to say thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to see this episode super early, you can get on the Patreon, do that, or you can see it in normal release, blah, blah, blah. So we'll let Barrett go hang out with his lady, and you have a good day.
Absolutely.
You have a good
Thank
day,
you so
dude.
much.
Talk
I appreciate
to you later.
it.
Yeah.
I always love being on here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So thank you so much, and I hope to see you all again soon then.
Yeah. Talk to you later, Barrett.
Thank you so much.
Yep.